Was good? It's your man 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. The Detroit Pistons have lost two in a row. And tonight we face, seemingly, I guess you could call them red hot Miami Heat. They've won six in a row. They got back their leading scorer in Tyler Hero. They are a team that has found their rhythm, much like the Orlando Magic have as of late. Ironically, without Paolo Banchero. The Detroit Pistons are going to be tested. We are not only going to be tested tonight, we are going to be tested throughout the month of December. We are going to be tested throughout this upcoming schedule. And I want to dive into all of it because right now we're on a 2-game losing streak. It could very well continue. But as I continue to advocate for, it's not about the end goal, it's about the process. The process is where you're trying to get to. Where you're trying to get to. Where do you see yourself long term? When you're trying to be that playoff team, that perennial playoff team, that conference champion team, that NBA finals team, that NBA championship team, this is the process. Now teams are checking for you. Now teams are scouting you. Now teams are locked in on what it takes to defeat you. And the Pistons are going to have to grow up quick. The Pistons are going to have to grow up quick. And I'm going to dive into all of that in this video. But before I do, if it's your first time here or not, please remember, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Remember, it's a little thing for y'all, but it's a big thing for the channel. So I appreciate all the love and support. Also appreciate the community. This is a really dope space. This is an interactive live chat, so I will be tapping in on the comments. I will be saluting to those who are able to jump in with me throughout this conversation. But it is one that I am appreciative to have with all of you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Let's dive into it. Salute to the chat. Salute to the chat. YY23 for life. Junior Getta, low budget gamer. It's good to have all y'all. Sandro, what's good? What's good? What's good? Love seeing everybody here. Let's dive into this conversation. We got the Miami Heat tonight. And if I'm honest, this upcoming schedule is pretty severe. Not only do we have the Miami Heat tonight, we have the Hawks on Monday. We have the Bucks with Giannis back on Wednesday. We got the Trailblazers on Friday. We've got the Bucks again on a back-to-back. After the Trailblazers, we got the Bucks again, Friday, Saturday. Then we've got a bit of a reprieve. We have a reprieve. We're going to have a 5-day break, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we have Friday against the Hawks. And then a few days later, we got the Celtics. We don't get a reprieve in terms of competition until maybe December 18th. We have the Dallas Mavericks, but they have Anthony Davis back now. They got Anthony Davis back. So it may not be that much of a reprieve. And then we've got Charlotte Hornets, who are playing better basketball with Colin Knuppel, Ryan Kalkbrenner, LaMelo Ball. Brandon Miller is finally healthy. Miles Bridges. So they have their full roster accompaniment. And remember, the Hornets knocked us off, beat us last season in their place on a game winner because we couldn't get a rebound. Sound familiar? This NBA season is no joke. And I'm not going to say that it has been. I'm going to say, as I've said many times before, we were not quite as good as our record. And a lot of the teams that we beat have been figuring themselves out, dealing with either injuries or dealing with having to deal with fluctuations. Some of them have had star players hurt from last season, like Tyrese Halliburton. Other teams have had to deal with just new situations. New situations. Maybe there was a trade. Maybe they have a lot of influx of talent, like the Milwaukee Bucks. Kevin Porter Jr. now in a new role, then gets hurt. Giannis is out. Ryan Rollins is in this new role, new position. They're figuring themselves out, and we're facing a lot of teams early on that really were not rolling. Then the Detroit Pistons come along and we are locked into our culture. We're locked in. A lot of it is from the high of last season's playoff run. A lot of it is having just really great talent on our roster, which we do have. And teams are starting to figure us out. Teams are starting to figure us out. And not in terms of like, oh, we can't beat them. It's to say that we can't beat ourselves by doing the things that they want to force us into because they understand that's how we beat them. At the same time, we're also trying to progress and move forward to the type of team that can one day win an NBA championship, which I keep saying is going to be next season. Next season is our window. Next season is the time where we're going to have an opportunity to really compete for a championship. This season is going to be likely an opportunity for a playoff run. I think we get in for sure out of the play in. Um, things happen, injuries happen, so we don't know for sure. But barring any type of major injury, we will have more than likely first round playoffs, potentially home court advantage. But I say potentially because the East is better than what the records have shown. The Miami Heat are better than what the records have shown. The Milwaukee Bucks are better than what records have shown. The Atlanta Hawks, the Toronto Raptors, who are now second in the East, who I told y'all were coming. I told y'all about the Raptors. And these teams with more experience, these teams that are, I'm not going to say more bought in to their schemes or system, but they have more know how as to how to consistently execute it. And they have the discipline and the humility to understand what it takes to win at this level is an acceptance of your system and playing together, trusting each other, gelling with one another. And when all the pieces come together, that's when your team is at its maximum. I've said many times before that one of the greatest predictors of team success throughout the course of the season, not just short spurts, but long term team success, generally is health. Is health. Giannis gets hurt, all of a sudden the Bucks start slipping. Bucks fans start tripping. Right. I was discussing with this one brother, who I'm actually a fan of. Maybe we might do some content together later on. I'm gonna pull up his handle. So if y'all want to check him out, y'all can feel free to do so. Um, but this brother, he be going on his Bucks head pretty hard. And one of the things I keep Amara's logic. That's who he is. Amara's logic. I keep going to his channel and I keep asking him like, bro, what is your expectation without Giannis? What is your expectation without Giannis? Ryan Rollins is starting for you. He ain't never started before. He's your number one scorer. He's probably the best player on the team without Giannis. He ain't never been a starter. He ain't never been a strong rotation player. Kevin Porter Jr. is probably your second best talent behind Giannis. He's been out the whole season. And of course, Giannis has been out for this last stretch with the groin. So when you look at a team and you're evaluating how they're playing, you have to look at the context. Yeah, Ryan Rollins. Shout out Detroit. Also shout out the trainer, the same one that worked with Dennis Jenkins. I say all that to say is that when we've been looking at a lot of these teams that we've been beating, some handedly, some we've had to struggle against. Not all these teams contextually are in the place where you can say you're getting a true evaluation of how good they are, nor how good we are. This has been a situation where when we say our team is the best team in the East, we actually have to look at how our team is playing. And that's something that I've been persistently saying. I think some of y'all feel like I may have been a little rough on our squad, a little rough on our team. And I've been trying to explain to y'all, we're not playing as good as our record. We have not been. Our star player, superstar player, ended the game with 8 turnovers. Where else is that happening? When was the last time you seen Luca with 8 turnovers? And they won. When was the last time you seen Donovan Mitchell with 8 turnovers? Jalen Brunson with 8 turnovers? When was the last time you seen the Knicks, the Cavs, the Nuggets, the Thunder with 24 turnovers in a game? These are the things that I talk about because you have to have what you call like a sober assessment, right? You gotta have a sober assessment. Yo, what's good, Nizzy? Yo, it's good to have you in the chat. You're so mean to our guys, and I feel you. You know, somebody's got to do it. You know, somebody's got to do it. We can't all just be the rah rah fans. You know, there's some folks out there, whether we win or lose, is rah rah. Everything's wonderful. I had to get off this one channel. I ain't even going. I ain't even going. I had to get off them because they just didn't know what they were talking about. Some of these channels just you just listen to them. Like Jalen Duren just had his best defensive game of the season last night against the Orlando Magic. His best defensive game of the season. He had it up here for the first time, and it matched here. He had the will, he had the know-how, and he executed. Had his best defensive game. He had the best plus minus on the team. But even then, I said he has to learn how to seal his man on a post up. He has to learn how to be a little bit more patient before attacking his man off the bounce. Why do I say these things? Because I see where he's at in terms of his development and what he's already shown the potential to do. He's already shown it. He's shown the potential to attack his man off the bounce, that he's pretty much unstoppable when he does. He's shown the ability to score in the post, to be a secondary shot maker, shot creator, scorer on this team next to Cade Cunningham. But now he has to fine tune it. Right? Like sometimes we learn a new skill, we learn a new tool, and we think it just works the same in every situation against everybody, and it don't. It don't. I remember when I was I come from the generation where kids played outside all day, and that was normal. You just go outside and play. Nowadays, your kids be like, I want to go outside and play. You're like, whoa, where you going? Who you playing with? Stay right over here. You know what I mean? It's different. I'm not sure if we had any more or less kidnappers back then than we do today. But parents are scared and we push that into our kids. And now instead of kids going outside to play, they just stay in the hallway or they at each other's place. We do play dates now. All to say is that back in the day, we'd go out and we would practice our moves all day. I remember I had this crossover. It was just left to right, right to left. You know that Allen Iverson step out. If you ever listen to Allen Iverson's interview about even where he got that crossover from, the one he did against Jordan that he made famous, um, he said he got that from his college teammate at Georgetown, and he said he would play one on one with his teammates, and this one I think he was like a junior or senior when he was a freshman, and he would just cross him up all day because he wasn't that athletic, and Iverson didn't really have a move, and he ended up stealing that move from him. And then all of a sudden, it just elevated his game. So I went out, I would practice it over and over, just the footwork of it. You got to step out a little bit forward, but you got to step out as if you're going to the left, and then you're going to bring it low and across. But it's got to be wide and it's got to be smooth because if you mishandle it, so I would practice it over and over, over and over. And then I figured out how to do it from left to right to finish back in my strong hand. But then I was like, well, what if I go right to left? So then I started working on it both hands. But then when you get to the game, there's a big difference between playing against a guard and playing against a big man. There's a big difference between whipping out that crossover at full speed coming down the court, or if you're doing it from a set standstill position, right? or if you're coming on the move and you're doing more of a snatchback crossover, right? Like there's all these different ways, these nuances of how to utilize a move, even after you've worked on it, right? So I worked on that move. You could probably say for hours, hours, hundreds of hours, probably over the course of time, right? And I still go out there and just do a little. I don't even play no more, really. I just go out there and just. I just like to hear the bounce of the ball on the court, sound of the ball going through the net. I can hit shots today. I ain't practiced at all. It's just motor instincts. All to say is that Jalen Duren has shown us that he's taken a progressive jump, a leap from last season to this season offensively and what he is capable of doing. Last season, we saw the playmaking, we saw the rebounding, we saw the lob, pick and roll, and that was elite. And then this season, he's like, yeah, I can also attack my man off the bounce. And I got a little bit of a jumper. So we say, bet. Okay, let's keep seeing it. He kept showing it. Let's keep seeing it. He kept showing it. And then throughout this streak, he had some really dominant performances. We're like, whoa, this dude is coming. And then next thing you know, Ivy gets back, Tobias Harris gets back, and all of a sudden, his shot attempts start dropping back down. And we start seeing him perform against other guys, and we're saying, you know what? I need you to work on this and this to fine tune your ability to be more consistent in what you've shown the ability to do. That's where my critique comes in. You got to learn how to seal your man to guarantee when your team drops that ball into you, you're going to go get it. And you can't just hold them off and anticipate because you're big and you're strong, nobody's going to try to outwork you, that nobody's going to outfight you to knock that ball away. Because most teams, most defenders, they know against a good offensive player, you do your work before they get the ball. That's 90% of it. So they're going to try to deflect the ball, knock the ball away long before you even get the ball. Because once you get the ball, it's almost barbecue chicken. But even then, you got to do the next step of being a little bit more patient. Look over your shoulder, right? See where the help is coming from. Ball fake. Push that help defender back out to the perimeter. Then attack, right? There's steps to it. And so those are part of the critiques that I've had for Jalen Duren. Even with that, he had his best defensive game of the season against the Orlando Magic. So I'm trying to keep the balance. As we go into this game against the Miami Heat, you have to understand that the Miami Heat are rolling. They have Heat culture, much in the way that the Orlando Magic have a culture about them as well, and the Pistons have developed about them as well. But here's the difference: the Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, you don't play if you don't fit their culture. I'll say that again. You don't play if you don't fit their culture, their identity. If you are not someone who exudes what they're trying to do, they don't play you. And I think that is something that we have all somewhat critiqued about JB Bickerstaff. And some of it is also on Trajan Langdon. Trajan, you brought in guys. Hopefully you did it with JB Bickerstaff, but you brought in guys who may or may not fit the culture. Last season, if we were to keep it 100, Trajan did not bring in guys to fit Detroit basketball culture either. They worked out because they did what they do best at a high level. They brought in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. Neither of them are Detroit basketball culture. Neither of them are known to be defenders. Neither of them are known to be particularly tough, rough, physical. There's guys who like to shoot and stand around and then shoot some more. We just so happened to pair them next to a superstar in Cade Cunningham who was emerging. And this roster came together. We have a superstar defender and Asar Thompson. And next thing you know, this all kind of came together with beef stew. And now we got this culture, and now we're trying to exude that. We're going to have to start doubling down, doubling down, doubling down, doubling down. Karis LeVert, he played probably his best game for us last game, or one of the better games that he's played over the last stretch, where he wasn't hijacking the offense. He was playing within the flow, playing off of our other players, while also giving great effort on defense. He didn't get targeted as much as he was actually passable. He was passable as a defender. Hard closeouts, hands up, great effort going around over the top of the screens and trying to make sure that he recovers. So it means that he just doesn't lean on the screen and die on the screen. He's fighting over the top. He's fighting to get back in front of his man, or he's collapsing on them and trapping them. Did a decent job in the rotation. Didn't get beat too many times in terms of the ball being rotated. So it was solid defense. But his offense kind of struggled. But all that's to say is that he had his best game defensively. Guys are buying in. So that's kudos to JB Bickerstaff. But I wouldn't necessarily say that Karis LeVert is someone who exudes Detroit basketball culture. And there's a difference. There's a difference between guys who are trying to fit in and guys who embody. There's a difference. JR, get a salute to you, brother. Was good. See you in the chat. I think the last couple minutes, I'll probably rather have Dennis Jenkins because he's a ball handler and he's not going to turn it over. And he's capable of getting his own shot. And he shoots extremely well from the 3-point line. I think he's shooting like 47% or over 45% from three right now. Sandro, he says, I have a question. Rock, in your opinion, what is the best team the Pistons beat so far in the season? Without a doubt, it's probably the Houston Rockets, but we got the Rockets before they figured themselves out, before they really started to gel. And I don't know if you followed some of the critiques I've had, even about Ime Udoka. And I have to eventually do a video because I got it wrong. They figured it out. And they also, I was right because they did some of the things I've been saying they should do. But they figured out how to get that offense to work. Reed Shepard is coming along and he's playing better basketball, much better basketball. And they needed to make sure that they play Aaron Holiday because he's a connector piece. He can shoot, he can defend on the ball, he can facilitate. I thought he would be a great complement to Amin Thompson and Shangun and what they have going on. All that's to say is that roster has put it together. But we face them before they've put it together. So who the Rockets are today is not who they were when we first played them, which is why I said our record is somewhat deceiving a little bit. We're not quite as good as our record may have suggested. Now, I say all that to say is that the Detroit Pistons have the Miami Heat tonight. The Miami Heat, I believe, I'm going to quickly check the injury report. Injury report. Miami Heat. Let me see. Oh, it looks like Norman Powell's. This is day to day. Andrew Wiggins day to day. Jaime Jaquez day to day. More than likely, all these guys are going to play. Even though Jaime Jaquez has a groin. Of course, he has a groin. He has a groin issue. He has a groin injury. Let me see. I don't think the Miami Heat played last night, so they're not on a back-to-back. They should have had some rest. More than likely, I think Jaime Jaquez plays. He's probably their sixth man. He's been balling out for them. Norman Powell listed as day to day, but he's a probable. Andrew Wiggins is probable. Jaime Jaquez is listed as questionable. This team right now knows exactly who they are. The Miami Heat know exactly who they are. This is a team that's been through the fire together. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. They've been to multiple NBA finals against the Denver Nuggets, against the Los Angeles Lakers. It's a team that's been in the playoffs, playing together. They've got Andrew Wiggins, who's an NBA champion, lost not with the Golden State Warriors. Norman Powell, he's been a part of winning and an NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors. This is a team that knows exactly how to win. Exactly how to win. There is no They're not still figuring anything out except for just gelling. They know their game. They know what they've got going on. Bam Adebayo knows exactly who he is. Andrew Wiggins. Davion Mitchell is growing in his game. Kel'el Ware is early and growing in his game. Kel'el Ware probably is closer to where a lot of the Detroit Pistons are in terms of figuring themselves out. And Davion Mitchell. Check our injury report. Jaden Ivey's listed as day-to-day. Will play Friday against the Magic. He's more than likely going to play this back-to-back. He didn't play a lot of minutes. And that's someone else that we need to talk about a little bit too. Jaden Ivey, he's been struggling. He has been struggling. I think he figures it out. But he has been struggling. And this is something I've said repeatedly. Our best defenders are on the fringe in terms of our rotation, which is a disservice to this team. Our elite defenders, Isaiah Stewart, Asar Thompson, in the rotation heavily. Isaiah Stewart needs to get it together. He's hurting our team by losing self-control and focus. I don't mind the physicality. I don't mind you putting somebody on their butt, but do it intentionally. Don't just do it randomly. Without any awareness. Do it intentionally. When he gets into foul trouble, we lose our pick and pop big who can spread the floor, take advantages of mismatches off the bench, score on the interior, make really good read passes, as we saw with his lob to Jalen Duren, who brings the physicality and the rebounding. We lose a major piece every time he gets into foul trouble. And yet he continues to get into foul trouble. At a certain point, it's just maturity. It's maturity. Self-control. Okay, we've applauded you for being tough, physical, bringing that brand of basketball back. We love you for it. Don't stop. Be intentional. Be intentional. When you're intentional, you are one hell of a piece. When you're intentional, we have to find 24 to 30 minutes a game for you. When you're intentional, our team is better. When you're locked in, our team is locked in. When you're not locked in, we struggle defensively. You're one of our best defenders, Isaiah Stewart. We need you locked in, especially against a team like the Miami Heat. I anticipate this is going to be a dogfight of a game. We need your leadership. We need that guy who we can all look to, say he's going to lead us in the direction we have to go. But you have to accept that. You have to accept that mantle, that responsibility. Jaden Ivey, who I said I was going to get to, I'm going to get to right now. Stay aggressive. Keep playing your game. We need you to keep playing your game. And, I've said this multiple times. I would not have brought back Jaden Ivey until he was ready to go full throttle. And when I say full throttle, I mean play 30 minutes a game. I would not have brought him back for another couple weeks. I would have had him in the G League playing 25, 35, 45 minutes. Balling out, hogging the ball. Heliocentric offense. Be Russell Westbrook on OKC. Everything goes through you. And then when we see that you found yourself down there playing amongst G League All-Stars. Sorry, NCAA All-Stars. Right? Y'all seen that big for the Boston Celtics, Williams? He was the backup center. Drafted last summer in the second round. He looked good for them. Had a block on Cade. That's the type of talent in the G League. Ryan Rollins, that's the type of talent in the G League. Dennis Jenkins, that's the type of talent in the G League. They hoop down there. When you can ball out against them, you're ready to come into the NBA. You're ready. The G League increasingly is probably one of the best resources for our NBA teams to fill needs. Those guys hoop, meaning they play hard, they're locked in and day out. They're athletic, they're highly skilled, they're confident. I would have rather sent Ivy down there. And after he was playing extremely well down there, then brought him up. Because this minutes restriction, it doesn't let him get into a rhythm. It's not letting him really find his footing. And he's killing us on defense. He's killing us on. I get it's a rhythm thing. Find your rhythm down there. We're on a 13-game winning streak. But like I said, there's many roads to success. We chose the road of Ivy wanting to come back immediately, sooner than later. This maybe is a learning lesson. When Marcus Sasser is ready to come back, go down to the G League, ball out. Okay, you just dropped 40 in the G League? All right, come on up. Right? Like, that's how we need to be measuring these guys ready to come back to active play for our club. Ivy has not been ready. He had a good first game back. After that, it's been rough. It's been really rough. He's been pressing against the Celtics. Took probably a few too many threes. They were open. They were good looks. He just wasn't able to knock them down. And I don't want him to stop shooting. The real thing I want to see is just him being more intentional about helping this team. One, it's on the defensive end, as always. And if you can't play defense, if you can't play Detroit basketball level defense, if I could be frank, you probably shouldn't be playing. We can't have a guy come in who tilts the game in the other team's favor and allows them to build momentum because he's not in a stance. He's not moving his feet well, playing basketball with his hands, playing defense with his hands, not his feet, out of position, not communicating, slow on the rotation, or can get targeted. Duncan Robinson, he can get targeted, but he's a bench player, not a starter. Karis LeVert, he gets targeted. He's a bench player, not a starter. Ivy, you're a starting level talent. Now coming off the bench. And you're getting beat in a way that we have to question, are you ready to even play for us right now? That's a major question. It's a question that I have. Are you ready to play for us? I don't know. But on this back-to-back against the Miami Heat, we are about to find out. The Miami Heat aren't playing with us. The Miami Heat right now are third in the East. They're on an 8-2 stretch. They've won 8 out of their last 10 games. We faced 2 of probably the hottest teams, 3 of the hottest teams over the last 3 games. Boston Celtics are 7-3 out of their last 10. The Magic are now 8-2 out of their last 10. They were 7-3. The Heat, 8-2. They're looking at us and they're licking their lips. And I'm just keeping it honest. We had 24 turnovers last game. They're looking at what the Magic did and they go, "Oh, we can do that. We can get into their heads," which is really a major point of emphasis. You get into Cade Cunningham's head. You get into uh, Jalen Duren's head. You can get into Asar Thompson's head. You can get into Isaiah Stewart's head. Now, the tough team, physical team that used to throw its weight around and bully you, and all these commentators were talking about how tough and defensive we were. I said, I look at Jalen Duren like Ferdinand the Bull. Sometimes he just rather just sit on that green hill and chomp on grass. And every once in a while, he gets riled up. He gets revved up. And he looks real good. You're like, whoa. And then he goes back to being the bull that just sits on the hill and it's content with 6 to 8 shot attempts. What Duren are we going to get? So I know a lot of ESPN and a lot of these mainstream critics we're singing our praises. I guarantee if we lose this game against the Miami Heat, they're not going to be singing our praises. They're going to be talking about a lot of things I've been talking about. We don't box out. We haven't been communicating on defense very well. We got too many guys that are hijacking the offense, not trusting the system or playing within the flow. Uh, you have to find consistency from our main scoring threats, which is going to be Cade, Ivy, and Duren. Guys are still figuring themselves out, getting their legs under them, figuring out their game. There are a lot of question marks of what we're going to get from game to game to game to game. I don't know if we're getting the Cade Cunningham who's going to get 10, 11 assists and 0 turnovers, or we're going to get the guy who gets 8 to 10 assists and 8 turnovers. I don't know which one we're going to get. The guy that plays within the system, plays within the flow, gets out in transition, is playing great defense, or the guy who's going to be a little lax on defense because he's exhausted and turn over the ball a whole bunch after he's hijacking it, and then the defense just focuses in on him. What Cade are we getting? What Duren are we getting? What Ivy are we getting? What Isaiah Stewart are we getting? Asar Thompson, he's been a little bit more consistent defensively, not getting into as much foul trouble, but he did again last night. Last night, we needed to play Asar Thompson 30 plus minutes. And if I'm honest with y'all, there are certain things about the rotation that I will have to start saying, JB Bickerstaff. When you have particular matchups that work in your favor, keep them. Keep those matchups that are working in our favor and fit in your rotation around it. I get you're trying to get guys minutes. That doesn't work. Had the last 2-3 games to see that. It doesn't work. We need the best matchups. Because a part of seeing what you have is also seeing who could be a part of winning. Who could be a part of winning for us. Karis LeVert getting 20 plus minutes a game, is that really working for us? Is that really working for us? But if we're honest, he's outplaying Jaden Ivey. But Jaden Ivey's a part of our future, so we need to give Jaden Ivey an opportunity to get his legs under him, to figure himself out, rather than Karis LeVert get his legs under him. Does that make sense? Asar Thompson should be minute for minute with Tyler Hero. We could just Tyler Hero, take him out. Let's just get him out of there. I think Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, they can accept the onus of slowing down Bam Adebayo. Tobias Harris, I think he can contain Andrew Wiggins. I think he can. I trust him to contain Andrew Wiggins. But also keep in mind, when Tobias Harris has another tall, long, athletic forward guarding him who's 6'8", 6'9", or above, they take away his post-up abilities. And many times his ability to take them off the bounce. When he went up against DeAndre Hunter in Cleveland, he didn't look quite as good. When he has mismatches, he looks great. Cade Cunningham, can you recognize the mismatches? Can you see where it is? Who needs the ball? Can you run this team? Can you be the leader that we need you to be? That is a major question that I have for Cade Cunningham. But a lot of this is about consistency. What Cade Cunningham are we going to find from game to game? But the reality is, I get the refs are not calling the game fairly for you, Cade. I get that. Cade Cunningham does not get All-Star, All-NBA, MVP candidate calls from the referees. A lot of it, I'm not going to say what a lot of it is. A part of it is your game is very all over the place. So the referees don't always know where to look for where fouls are coming from. Now, some of it is just egregious. Yesterday, you were being grabbed, held by Anthony Black. Um, he was just basically wrestling you, trying to get to the ball, off ball, coming around the screen, and there was no call, and it was dead in front of the referees. That technical was earned. Okay, bet. We still need you to settle down. We still need you to stay focused. We still need you to knock down your free throws. We still need you to trust the offense. We still need you to lead our team in spite of it. Now, I know this is a learning curve for you. This is what it looks like when the league is really checking for you. That's the type of defense they're going to play on you. Literally. What we're looking for is for our leader, our best player, to lead the way. Plays within the flow of the offense because that's the expectation for the entire team. Communicates and locks down on defense, meaning playing defense with your feet, not your hands, communicating, making the rotation, seeing your man in the ball, boxing out for rebounds, because that's the expectation for the team. Trust their teammates, so we're not putting ourselves in position to have a high number of turnovers. Set the expectation, Cade. You're the leader. So I think there is a big question of leadership on this team as well. Because Isaiah Stewart, our longest tenured Detroit Piston, still is not reliable. Foul trouble, technicals, untimely fouls. Right? We can't rely on him yet. Jalen Duren is still young, 22 years old. Can't quite rely on him yet. Asar Thompson, still really quiet. Still hasn't really stepped into who he is. Can't rely on him yet. Jay Ivey, coming back from injury. Can't rely on him yet. This team, we're going to see what they can do. It's going to be about consistency. And it's going to be a challenge for us. Look, I got to hop off. I got a call I got to get on. But this is going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to seeing who steps up, who continues to play Detroit basketball. Because this month of December coming up is where we got to weed them out. We got to weed out the guys who are going to be there for us and the guys who are not. Yo, it's your man 100 grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. I got a dip, but I'm going to holler at y'all next time. Peace. I'll see you after the game. Peace.